Hi, everybody. John McElroy here. We're going to be talking about sustainability today because BorgWarner just came out with a sustainability report. And while it's very common to see automakers put these out, it's not so common with automotive suppliers to do so. So let me bring in Michelle Collins. She's the Director of Marketing and Public Relations at BorgWarner. And hello out there, Michelle. Good to see you.
Hey, John. Thanks so much for having me here today.
Let's start out with the definition of sustainability, because I think to different people in different companies, it might mean different things. What does sustainability mean to BorgWarner?
So sustainability to us is really encompassing all topics around governance, around our impact in the community, really around all of our practices inside of the company. So it's encompassing of everything related to people, to the products we make, and just to how we're involved in our industry and our community.
I've gone through your report. It's very detailed. It's very comprehensive. Why does the company go through the trouble of putting out such a comprehensive report?
For us, it's really important to be very transparent about the work that we do and how we achieve it. It's by no means perfect, but for us, we always look to make improvements year over year. And this is really a good way for us to capture at a point in time where we're at with all of those goals that we set for ourselves. So this year's report, which we call Purpose Propelled, is really encompassing how we're delivering on our vision of a clean, energy efficient world. We went in depth into a lot of metrics that we hadn't done in the past. Again, just with the goal of being very transparent, but also giving the employees something to be very proud of. We had a lot of great achievements this year and over the last few years, and they take pride in being able to have some of their stories about how they impacted their community or improvements they made in their facility.
Yeah, well, let's talk about some of the goals and the achievements that were in the report. What are, in your view, some of the highlights?
So some of the highlights are the stretch targets that we've given to ourselves just in terms of greenhouse gas emission reduction. We have some great stories in there about our remanufacturing program, our involvement in the community. We're very proud of the amount of money that our employees have donated, as well as the number of service hours. That's something that's very important to BorgWarner. We also are really making some great headways in terms of our involvement with a lot of local universities and apprentice programs, also making sure that we're creating good touch points with, keeping up our workforce for the future, as well as making sure that we're also doing so in kind of a inclusive and diverse way.
Yeah, one of the things that jumped out of the pages at me is BorgWarner is generating over 80% of its revenue from products involving electric cars, hybrid cars, and emissions reduction for internal combustion engines. How far can you go? I mean, 80% is already pretty good in that regard.
Yeah, so for the company, one of our operational goals to help protect the environment is 50% greenhouse gas intensity reduction by 2030 from our 2015 baseline. As you mentioned, we supply products for all propulsion types, so combustion, hybrid, and electric. And people sometimes forget that internal combustion engines can still be very, very efficient and are very clean. And so that's something that we still put a lot of work towards, constantly improving those products, making sure that they meet the strict standards in all of the different regions that we supply products to, but also challenging ourselves to create more efficiency out of them as well. So that's very important for us.
Yeah, you mentioned remanufacture. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of the operations.
Yeah, so we have a pretty robust remanufacturing program for turbochargers, alternators, exhaust gas recirculation valves, for example, where we take the products, disassemble them, and essentially rebuild them to the original specs. That allows us to reduce waste, and also just being very conscientious environmentally about reuse, recycling, and we have a really refined process for it that a lot of our locations are very proud of.
Yeah, and I imagine these are for aftermarket use then.
Correct, that's right.
Yeah, because remanufacturing something like a turbocharger uses a whole lot less energy than building a brand new one.
Exactly. And like I said, it's made to the original specs. And so it's essentially brand new. You really cannot tell a difference.
Michelle, the market right now, the automotive market, of course, is going crazy over EVs. Give us a little bit of an overview what BorgWarner is doing in that regard.
So BorgWarner, like I said, produces parts for any propulsion type, but particularly for electric vehicles, we make some products such as the integrated drive module, which combines power electronics and the motor together to support any EV really that's out there on the market right now. We're doing a lot of R&D work around that topic. We have a joint venture with a company where we're looking into production of batteries. And again, the Delphi Technologies acquisition that we're in the midst of will just help to kind of reinforce our stake in the ground on that and propel us into the future.
Yeah, there's some other interesting metrics in the report too. You mentioned carbon intensity already, but zero landfill waste coming from your plants, or a number of them, reduced water usage, LEED buildings. In fact, can you touch on a little bit of those topics?
Yeah, so it's very important for us to make sure that our facilities are sustainable as well as the products that we produce. And all of our facilities are ISO certified. As you mentioned, we have some in regions where water scarcity is an issue. So for in India, for example, they had a retention pond nearby where they went through a pretty intensive project recently to revamp and revise that to make sure that it was most suitable to help support the needs of the building, also taking into account that they're in a water scarce area. LEED certification, like you mentioned, zero landfill. It's really amazing what some of the locations have done in terms of implementing practices to kind of reduce, reuse, and recycle, but then also go to zero waste, which when you think about that is a very challenging feat to accomplish. You just think of how many things you go through day to day, at your house. So they're really committed to it. And it is an entire facility effort. So it's not just one person trying to make a difference. It's really how they live and work every single day. And it's part of just their normal routine.
Yeah, when you think about a manufacturing facility with so many things coming through, trucks coming into the facility, unloading there, manufacturing going on, to have none of it go into landfills. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I wish I could claim at home that we were zero landfill. We're not.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And like I said, it really reinforces that there's a true commitment to that, and kind of that thread of our vision really weaves through everything that we do. And so the facilities are very, very proud of that, as they should be.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do. We've been talking about environmental things and what the company's doing there, but as you know, sustainability, it goes beyond that. It goes to society as well, both inside the company and out. Let's start with inside the company. What are you doing from that standpoint?
So we put a lot of effort towards being involved in the communities and that we have facilities around, and also looking into a broader scope with that. So it's very encouraged for locations to kind of adopt a local charity that they're wanting to volunteer at or donate money to. We're very proud of the fact that we had over $2.8 million donated this last year, 62,890 hours volunteered as well. So that can be a variety of things. We have some locations that work with their local elementary schools to implement STEM programs in K through 8. We have other locations that work with urban farms to help supply fresh fruits and vegetables to the community there. We're involved in, of course, a lot of different fundraising walks, that you see in and around the Detroit area, but also in facilities where we may be close to an ocean. For example, in Portugal, we have a group that regularly volunteers to clean up, waste that comes in from the ocean onto the shore there. and take care of that. So it's really interesting to see all of the different ways that people get involved in their communities, and then just how BorgWarner backs that up as a whole, and making sure to provide employees time to do those activities, and also really encouraging donation to them as well.
Yeah, no kidding. That's great. My hat's off to the people picking up the garbage off the beach. Kudos for them. That's excellent. And getting the time to go out and be able to do that. What about inside the company, though? Diversity, inclusion, those are key aspects of sustainability from a societal standpoint within the company. Definitely.
So this last year, our CEO, Fred Lasalle, signed the CEO Action for Diversity and Inclusion Pledge. And really, when I say just the outward motive of that is just reinforcing what we're really doing inside. So one of our beliefs in BorgWarner is just to be inclusive. And really that means in any aspect. It's part of who we are and what we do. And we try not to make it something that is forced. It's really, like I said, just the way that we behave every day. We're also making sure that we're cognizant of being involved in different university relations, where we are able to hire from a diverse group of candidates. So supporting Society of Women Engineers or the National Society of Black Engineers. And a lot of our employee resource groups are ones that get very involved in that. So we have an employee university ambassador program. We have a lot of people who love to go back to their alma mater that were also involved in very specific groups there. And it's easy for them to go back and talk to the students about these types of things because they have a love and passion for it anyways. So we're able to leverage a lot of the employees that just have a desire to do this based on who they are and what they do. And for us, of course, it's very important to make sure that we're involved in doing that and are really looking at it from a lot of different points of view to make sure that we're taking those learnings back to our greater team as well.
Yeah. Hey, look, I've been asking you a whole lot of questions. Have I missed anything here about this report?
I think we covered pretty high level everything. Like I said, I encourage people to take a look at it. There's a lot of great data points and material in there. It's something we're very proud of, knowing there's always work to do on that, but that's something that challenges us to always strive for those greater goals. And of course, it's a proud representation of who we are as a company.
So if people wanted to see some of these details, just do an online search for BorgWarner Sustainability Report, they'll be able to get it?
Exactly, or go to BorgWarner.com, just look up our sustainability page and you'll be able to download the full report there.
Real good. Michelle Collins, thanks so much for your help today in figuring out what's going on in the sustainability report the company just put out.
Thanks so much, John. We really appreciate it.